Hello, welcome to your news at noon right here on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. Governments across the world must summon the full force of their fiscal policy-making powers to make the shift to green economies and the practice of subsidizing fossil fuels, and for the developed world to make good on its promise to provide much-needed mitigation and adaptation. This is in addition to taxing carbon and pollution emitters such as ExxonMobil and other fossil fuel producers instead of people's income to more easily make the switch to sustainable green jobs, else the lofty targets that are set out in the Paris Accord will go up in smoke. This call was made yesterday by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. President Ali was among the delegates at the General Assembly when Guterres cautioned the world leaders the climate alarm bells are also ringing at fever pitch, and reminded that the recent reports of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was a code red for humanity. In other news, Guyana is currently fielding a high-level delegation to the 76th United Nations General Assembly underway in New York, led by President Ali and Vice President Barrett Jagdeo. The delegation includes Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Hugh Todd, Ambassador and Permanent Representative to the UN Carlin Rodriguez-Briquet, and Foreign Secretary Robert Prasad. According to information emanating out of New York, the delegation yesterday used the opportunity to meet with the Inter-American Development Bank President, Mr. Mauricio Claver Corona, and his delegation. According to reports, President Ali updated the IDB head on Guyana's development plans and the importance of the IDB as a development partner. And moving on. With the administration putting in place the multi-stakeholder group for the Guyana chapter of the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, or EITI, albeit 7 months after the life of the previous incarnation expired, the group will now have a little over 3 months to prepare and submit a country report for Guyana. The second 12-member multi-stakeholder group for the EITI was launched on Monday at the Main Street office of the Ministry of Natural Resources, and is the group responsible for implementing the standard of the global EITI, ensuring Guyana's extractive sectors are managed transparently. Minister Vikram Bharat noted that Guyana is quickly approaching the deadline for the submission of the third EITI report, December 31st, 2021. The submission is the responsibility of the new multi-stakeholder group. In other news, the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, or NDIA, a department of the Ministry of Agriculture, has denied any involvement by the two budget agencies with regards to the repeated retendering of projects to be executed under that agency, and has instead blamed the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board, or NPTAB. NDIA did not deny the retendering of the project, but conveyed that any such decision would have been taken at the level of NPTAB. The Agriculture Ministry defended itself on Monday, asserting that by virtue of the Procurement Act of 2023, public procurement and goods and services up to a certain limit is done exclusively by the NPTAB, a body that is independent, separate, and apart from both the Ministry of Agriculture and NDIA. And moving on, a police officer and a suspected bandit are currently receiving medical attention at the Georgetown Public Hospital after they were shot at the same time as law enforcement officials were executing an arrest. The incident reportedly occurred sometime around 10 hours 35 yesterday at Leopold Street, Work-in-Rust, Georgetown. It is understood that a party of policemen were responding to an alleged robbery under arms when they apprehended the two male suspects, one a 20-year-old and the other a 24-year-old. While making the arrest, a scuffle ensued between the suspects and the police officer. Investigators noted that the 20-year-old man held on to the police officer's firearm, trying to disarm him. The firearm discharged during the struggle for possession and control for the weapon, leading to both the police officer and one of the suspects being shot in the left thigh. Additionally, the police report indicated that the duo allegedly robbed a 68-year-old man of a gold chain and an artificial gold band. In other news, Region 10 RDC has issued eviction notices to a number of government employees who are occupying state properties in Linden. This was confirmed by Regional Executive Officer Dwight Johnson, who said that 9 employees were sent letters, all of whom have been occupying the residences for more than 10 years. He said that, according to the public service rules, persons who are not entitled to accommodation for much more than 10 years and those who are in receipt of the letters have been occupants for much longer. Some occupants who received eviction notices expressed concern that the move is politically motivated and the regional administration is taking orders from the government to target persons associated with the opposition. John refuted this claim and said that all persons occupying properties over 10 years were served. He also revealed that letters of eviction had been sent to MPs Jermaine Figuera and Devin Sears to vacate the government properties that they were occupying, and they did so without hesitation. And then let's tell you, Kaieteur, in a recent bid to obtain information on operations being carried out at Aurora Gold Mines by Chinese gold company Zijin Mining Group, was told that some of the details it is seeking are confidential. This media house tried to obtain details on the company's general operations, including its expenditure and production, since it had taken over the time from the previous Canadian owners. The Chinese company had purchased AGM from the Canadians in August of 2020 for a total of $238 million. We had requested an interview with the company's general manager, Victor Wu, through a spokesperson. The spokesperson had responded that the interview can be facilitated, but it depends on the topic of discussion. Kaieteur complied and sent the spokesperson its questions for the general manager. A few days later, the spokesperson contacted Kaieteur News to convey that the general manager had declined the interview. And moving on, yesterday, the Ministry of Health announced that 5 more persons who tested positive for COVID-19 have died. As a result of this, the country's COVID-19 death toll has moved to 738. According to the Ministry of Health, the latest fatalities are that of 5 unvaccinated persons. Meanwhile, 141 new infections were recorded, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 29,824. 30 patients are admitted into the ICU, 155 persons in institutional isolation, 3,525 in home isolation, and 2 in institutional quarantine. To date, a total of 25,376 persons who tested positive for the virus have recovered. And at this time, we now move on to the page 7 of the Kaieteur News dedicated to being blunt. Even Guyanese who pay no attention to the EPA recognize that the agency has been made into a running joke because of political interference. The EPA stands as a wretched organization, a national humiliation with its actions dictated by powerful politicians and government. Its decisions are influenced by political meddlers who use the entity for Exxon's interests to the detriment of Guyana. When Exxon prospers, Guyanese are impoverished. Guyanese, why are these leaders supported? Why are they believed? Why are they not sent packing? With that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch